I am Caitlin, a 35-year-old woman who loves organization and structure. Working as a corporate auditor, my meticulous nature, especially regarding receipt management and tax awareness, has become a running joke among my friends. However, I believe these small habits keep my life in order. I met my husband Brett at a party hosted by our mutual friend Erica. I remember that night vividly. While chatting with old college friends over wine, Brett walked in. He was a few years older than me, with a confident demeanor and an irresistible smile. At the time, he was a manager at a food sales company, and with a relaxed air, he asked while holding a beer, "Hi, I'm Brett, mind if I join?" looking directly into my eyes. "I'm Caitlin, nice to meet you," I introduced myself. Our conversation flowed naturally as we discovered our shared love for hiking and appreciation for classic rock. A few months into dating, Brett invited me to a barbecue at his sister Stephanie's house. It was my first time meeting his family, and predictably I was a bit nervous, but Stephanie welcomed me warmly, and her four energetic, somewhat rowdy children made the night unforgettable. With toys flying and kids running around, I said, "Nice to meet you all." Despite the chaos, Brett and I enjoyed the evening, growing closer as time passed. A few weeks later, while walking through a picturesque valley, Brett proposed to me. It was a simple and sincere gesture, everything I had hoped for. Our wedding was beautiful, though Stephanie's children once again brought unexpected chaos. Brett always remained optimistic, amused by the children's antics, but I struggled to contain my irritation. I didn't want to spoil the joy of the moment. After marriage, Brett and I decided to buy our first house, leaving our rental apartment behind. One night, while discussing our finances and future, Brett surprised me by suggesting we buy a new car to replace my aging one. I was surprised but overjoyed. It was an unexpected gesture that made me feel loved and supported. "It's time you had a reliable car," he said that with a smile, clearly excited about this new chapter in our lives. We soon began house hunting and found a lovely property within weeks. It was a bit expensive, but we agreed it was perfect for us both. The move was chaotic, but I longed to settle into the new space. I spent hours carefully selecting stylish furniture and appliances to make it our home. Then one Saturday, Brett surprised me with a gleaming new car. Overwhelmed with joy, I hugged him tightly. "Brett, this is unbelievable, thank you," I said. He smiled and replied, "You're welcome, Caitlin. You deserve it." At first, everything seemed perfect. We both enjoyed our jobs, and coming home to our well-organized, cozy house felt like a dream. However, as time passed, little things began to bother me. Brett's relaxed attitude, which I had once found charming, started to wear on me, especially regarding household responsibilities. "Brett, could you help with the dishes tonight?" I asked after dinner one day. He looked at me with tired eyes and sighed. "It's been a long day. Let's do it tomorrow." My frustration grew. "Brett, we can't keep putting everything off. I'm tired too, but we need to keep the house in order," I insisted. After some hesitation, he reluctantly got up from the couch. A few months into our marriage, my anxieties began to grow. Getting pregnant was proving difficult, and the pressure was starting to affect me. My doctor tried to reassure me that it would happen naturally when the time was right, but it didn't ease my worries. Additionally, Brett's sister Stephanie, who lived in the neighboring state, started visiting us constantly. I felt like she spent more time at our house than her own. Every time she came, she would vent about her marriage. "Caitlin, wait until you hear what Zach did this time," she would begin, rolling her eyes dramatically. Once, I tried suggesting, "Stephanie, could we talk about something else for once?" but she brushed it off. "Please, you're the only one who understands me." She simply said that, completely oblivious to my discomfort. Her children were equally exhausting. The moment they stepped into our house, everything turned into a circus. They ran around everywhere, fought, threw food, and screamed. After a tiring week, all I wanted was a bit of peace, but that seemed impossible. Kids, please calm down. I pleaded, trying to maintain my composure. Stephanie retorted, "Why are you always so tense, Caitlin?" "They're making a mess, Stephanie. I just cleaned." I responded, reaching my limit. Then she delivered a crushing blow. "Well, maybe you'd understand if you had children of your own." Her words cut deep, especially considering my fertility issues. It felt like a punch to the stomach. And surprisingly, Brett didn't step in to defend me. "Brett, are you really going to let her talk to me like that?" I asked, my voice trembling with pain and anger. "Caitlin, calm down. You're being dramatic," he said once again, taking his sister's side. "Dramatic? She just insulted me in my own home." I cried out with tears in my eyes. I was exhausted from being dismissed and disrespected in my own space. Such contempt and Brett's constant siding with his sister was wearing me down. Something needed to change, and soon. One Saturday, Stephanie showed up unannounced with her 4 children. "Hey, Caitlin, I need a parenting break. Going shopping." She dropped off the kids without waiting for my response. I smiled wryly at her, calling it a parenting break. Her visits always turned our house into a zoo. "Fine, Stephanie. But come back soon," I said, already feeling stressed. "Thanks, Caitlin. You're a lifesaver," she said, grabbing her bag and leaving before I could protest. And there I was left trying to make dinner in the midst of chaos. Cooking was something I took seriously, a process requiring precision and concentration, but it seemed impossible with the children running wild and out of control. "Kids, please be quiet." I called from the kitchen, hoping for a moment of peace, but of course they ignored me. Then suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the house. My stomach sank. Running into the living room, my worst fears were realized. My grandfather's antique Chinese vase lay shattered on the floor. "What happened?" I cried out, looking at the children who stood frozen with clearly guilty expressions. "We were just playing," one mumbled, avoiding my gaze. This vase was priceless. It was my grandfather's. "You have no idea what you've done." I was trembling with anger. Just then, Brett walked in with an inappropriately calm demeanor. "What's going on, Caitlin?" he asked, noticing the chaos. "Your nephews broke my grandfather's vase. Look at this." I pointed at the fragments scattered across the floor. "Calm down, Caitlin. It's just a vase. We can fix it," he said, dismissing my anger. "It's not just a vase, Brett. This is about respect. Every time Stephanie comes to our house, everything turns into chaos, and you don't seem to care." My voice was shaking with frustration. At that moment, Stephanie walked in with shopping bags and a disgruntled expression. "What's all this commotion?" "Your children broke my grandfather's vase, Stephanie. Look." I cried out, tears welling in my eyes as I pointed at the scattered fragments. Stephanie responded without remorse. "Well, maybe you should have been paying more attention? They are your kids, Stephanie. Why should I have to watch them?" I responded, my hands shaking with frustration. Brett sighed, clearly irritated. "Just let it go, Caitlin. Let it go. I'm sick of being treated like I don't matter in my own home," I cried out, my voice shaking with tears streaming down my face. Brett just stood there hesitantly, while Stephanie smirked as if I were in the wrong. I couldn't stay there any longer. Overwhelmed by feelings of anger, pain, and betrayal, I stormed out. Stephanie's chaotic visits had always been a problem, but I never imagined things would get this bad. The next morning, while Brett sat calmly eating toast at the kitchen table, he dropped a bomb that left my stomach empty. "Caitlin, I need to tell you something. Stephanie's getting divorced and she'll be staying at our house with the kids for a few months," he announced as if discussing something trivial. My coffee cup nearly slipped from my hand. "You're joking? Our house is already a mess. We can't even handle one visit, and you want to make this permanent?" "A few months?" The panic in my voice was unmistakable. Brett looked at me seriously, as if this were the most reasonable thing in the world. "She's my sister, Caitlin. She needs our help. You need to be more understanding." "Understanding? I've been patient, Brett. But this is too much. Why can't we help her find a place nearby? I'll pay the first month's rent. I'll do anything." I tried to stay calm while searching for solutions. "No, it's better for her to be here. You can watch the kids and keep the house organized." He said that as if it were already decided. "I'm not a babysitter, Brett. I work full-time too. I need my own space and time to relax." I answered, my patience wearing thin. "Don't be so selfish, Caitlin. They're family. They need us." He shot back harshly. "I'm not being selfish. I'm looking for a compromise. I won't let you ruin my life just so you can play hero." I insisted, my anger mounting. "Well, they're coming tomorrow afternoon. So you better get used to the idea," Brett said coldly and got up and left. I stood there stunned, my heart racing, unable to believe what I'd just heard. Everything felt like it was slipping through my fingers. The next morning, still angry about our argument, I went to look for my car key but couldn't find them. I called Brett, trying to stay calm. "I can't find my keys." "My car key. I lent it to Stephanie for the kids." He said that in an emotionless, flat voice. "You lent my car to Stephanie? Seriously?" I asked, shock evident in my voice. "It's not your car, Caitlin. I paid for it. And she needs it more than you do." He replied as if I should be grateful for his generosity. That was the last straw. "You've taken everything away." "I've had enough," I said, my voice trembling with determination. "What are you talking about? You're being dramatic, Caitlin." He completely dismissed my emotions. I hung up the phone. I felt like I was drowning. How did we end up here? I immediately called a moving company. "Hello, I need a team to move furniture and appliances urgently today." A few hours later, the movers arrived, and I guided them through the house, indicating what I wanted taken. The bed, sofa, lamps, even the bathroom faucets. With each item carried out, a strange sense of relief washed over me. It felt like I was finally regaining control. "Take everything to my mother's house." "Thank you for your quick response," I said, tipping them. Now that the house was completely empty, I packed my essentials and took a taxi to my mother's house. Brett's calls kept coming, but I ignored them, feeling a strange mix of anxiety and empowerment. That night, there was a violent knock at the door. Opening it revealed Brett, his face red with anger. "What the hell have you done, Caitlin?" he demanded as he stormed into the living room. "I took my things, Brett. You took the car, so I took what I bought," I answered calmly, trying to keep my voice steady. "This is insane. Taking everything out of the house. Where are Stephanie and the kids supposed to sleep?" he exclaimed in obvious anger. "That's your concern? Brett, You created this mess, so you fix it. I crossed my arms across my chest as I said that. You're a thief, Caitlin. You stole everything. He accused, waving his arms in frustration. I didn't steal anything. Here are the receipts, I said, pulling out a folder and showing him proof of purchase for all the furniture and appliances. He checked the receipts, his anger turning to frustration. Fine, Caitlin. If that's the game you want to play, I'll file for divorce. He said that bitterly. I took a deep breath and handed him a stack of papers. I already did. Here are the divorce papers. It's over. His face drained of color as he stared at the papers in disbelief. Are you serious? Completely serious, Brett. I deserve better than this, I said in a calm, steady voice. Without another word, he took a pen from his pocket, signed the papers, and handed them back to me. Fine, Caitlin. Have it your way. I watched him leave, the door slamming shut behind him. For a moment, I stood there, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. It was finally over. And while it hurt, deep down I knew this was the right decision. That night, I sat with my mother and told her everything that had happened. She listened carefully, comforting me with her presence. When I finished, she nodded. Caitlin, you've been through a lot. Now it's time to focus on yourself and your happiness, she said, hugging me. Thanks, Mom. I just need some time to think, I replied, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. In the days that followed, I began to settle into a new routine. I started organizing my space at my mother's house and contemplating my next steps. For the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face it. I had regained control of my life, and there was no going back. After the divorce, Brett and I sold the house and split the profits. It was time to find my own place. While Mom's house had been a comfortable refuge, I needed my own space. One afternoon in the kitchen, I was browsing apartment listings on my laptop. Mom, I think I found the perfect place. It's a small apartment in the center, near my workplace, I said, showing her the photos. Mom leaned in and smiled. It looks lovely, Caitlin. Have you called yet? Not yet. But I will now, I said, feeling growing excitement. Dialing the number, a friendly voice answered after a few rings. Hello, this is Robert. How can I help? Hi Robert, this is Caitlin. I'm interested in the apartment listed in the center. Is it still available? I asked, fingers crossed. Yes, it's still available. Would you like to schedule a viewing? He responded cheerfully. Yes, how about tomorrow afternoon? I suggested, trying to contain my excitement. Perfect. Let's meet at 4 p.m. Robert confirmed before ending the call. The next day, I met Robert in the center and went to see the apartment. He greeted me with a warm smile outside the building. Hello, Caitlin. Pleased to meet you. Let me show you around, he said, extending his hand. The apartment was small but cozy, exactly what I needed. It had a nice kitchen, spacious living room, and a small balcony with a good view of the city. This place is perfect, Robert. I'll take it, I said, feeling a wave of relief. After signing the lease and getting the keys, I began planning the move. These were the first steps toward my fresh start, and I was determined to make it my own. Over the next few days, I packed up at Mom's house and arranged for movers to handle the heavy lifting. On moving day, Mom stood beside me, watching as the movers loaded the truck. Mom hugged me tightly, her eyes shining with emotion and a proud smile on her face. You're doing the right thing, Caitlin. I'm so proud of you, she said softly. Thanks, Mom. Here's to new beginnings. I replied, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness about what lay ahead. When the last box was loaded onto the truck, I truly felt I was taking a step into a new chapter of my life, and I was ready to face it. Caitlin, this is going to be so good for you. A new beginning is exactly what you needed. Mom said, hugging me again. Thanks, Mom. I'm really looking forward to it. I replied with a confident smile I hadn't felt in a long time. With help from Mom and a few close friends, we quickly unloaded everything and put things in their places. Looking around my new space, a sense of satisfaction washed over me. This was my new beginning. That night, I invited Mom and friends over for dinner to celebrate the move. We ordered pizza and sat on the floor among the still unpacked boxes, raising our glasses of soft drinks in an impromptu toast. To Caitlin and her new place, my friend, Erica, called out. Thank you all. I really appreciate everyone's help and support, I said, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. As the evening progressed, we shared laughter and memories, and I felt a freedom I hadn't experienced in years. Later, sitting on the balcony watching the city lights twinkle, I reflected on everything that had happened. I felt proud that I had taken control of my life and made the necessary changes to get here. It hadn't been easy, but it was worth it. Through mutual friends, I learned that Brett had used the house sale money to buy a small apartment with Stephanie and her 4 children. He was working 3 jobs to pay off debts, while Stephanie remained unemployed, and their constant fighting was wearing him down. Then one day, I received a call from Brett. Surprised to see his name on the screen, I answered out of curiosity. Hello, Brett. What's wrong? I said, maintaining a neutral tone. Caitlin, please listen, he said in a desperate voice. I messed everything up. I'm really sorry. I didn't realize how hard it was with Stephanie's kids. I miss you. I miss what we had. Can we try again? I could move into your apartment. I'll do everything right this time, he pleaded. I couldn't help but let out a small laugh. Really? Brett, after all this time, now you finally realize. Yes. I know it's too late. But I've been doing a lot of soul searching. Can't we try again? He said, almost begging. I shook my head, letting out a bitter laugh in disbelief. Brett, are you kidding? You think you can just walk back into my life like nothing happened? Caitlin, I'm serious. I'll do anything. I'll work more to make it up to you, he insisted desperately. I paused for a moment, considering his words, but deep down I knew there was nothing left between us. No, Brett. It's too late for that. Goodbye. A year had passed. I had been promoted to senior manager in the audit department and established a rhythm in my new life. Mom was proud of my decisions, and growing herbs together in the garden on weekends had become our new joy. One night, while shopping at an upscale supermarket after work, I was examining wines to treat myself for my promotion. Caitlin. I turned to find Brett in a cashier's uniform, looking at me. His once confident expression was gone, replaced by tired eyes. I can't believe you work here. I blurted that out. Night shift, construction during the day, delivery work in the afternoon. Brett said that while lowering his eyes. His gaze at the expensive wine and cheese in my cart felt painful. His former proud position as a food company manager now seemed like a distant memory. With Stephanie's kids' tuition and living expenses, everything started falling apart after you left. Can you handle my groceries, please? I said quietly but firmly. Brett silently began scanning items. I could see his hands trembling slightly. The following week, unexpectedly, I received a message from Stephanie. "Caitlin, we need to talk about the kids." Meeting at a small cafe in town, Stephanie had lost her previous arrogant attitude and was visibly tired. "Caitlin, I was wrong." She began speaking, her eyes fixed on the ground. "Back then, I trampled on your feelings. I couldn't control the kids. It was all my responsibility. Actually, every time Lily talks about the cookies you made, my heart aches. There must have been a better way back then." I quietly sipped my tea, listening to her words. Though this situation might have brought me satisfaction before, now was different. I could calmly accept what she was saying. The kids want to see you. Especially Lily. I thought for a moment, then pulled out a small paper bag from my purse. "This is for the kids. I made it yesterday at cooking class." Recently, I'd started helping at a cooking class at the local community center. There, I'd met Mark, a culinary expert, and we'd begun enjoying baking together on holidays. Stephanie accepted it with tears in her eyes. "Thank you. I'm really sorry." "Stephanie, the past is the past. But the kids have nothing to do with it. Let's make arrangements so I can see them anytime," I said. "Really? But for the kids' sake. However, there's one condition." I continued with a serious expression. "This is between you, me, and the kids. Brett isn't included." Stephanie nodded slowly. Walking home, the gentle spring breeze caressed my cheeks. My phone rang, displaying Mark's name. "I have an idea for this weekend's cooking class. How about we start a children's class? The kids would love your sweets." Looking up at the sky, I smiled naturally. "That's a lovely idea. I have some ideas too." That night, I called Mom while tending to my small herb garden on the balcony. "Mom, remember? When I was little, you made cookies with me." "Yes, of course. You used to stand in front of the oven, too excited to wait." Mom's voice echoed gently. "Now it's my turn to pass on that joy to someone else." The new cooking class. Stephanie's kids. And peaceful times with Mark. The chaos and pain of the past now seemed like distant memories. The small plants on my balcony were growing steadily, just like my heart. The full moon shone in the night sky, heralding the arrival of a new season. Taking a deep breath, I could feel the spring air was full of hope. My story has only just begun. In the moonlight, my eyes sparkled with anticipation for tomorrow.